Found out my wife of 6 years was cheating on me on Christmas Eve. I am hoping to move on from this, but I'm scared it will taint all future relationships. I'm not sure how long this post will be. I just want to say what happened in the hopes that it will make me feel even a little bit better and provide some catharsis. Some quick background first. My now ex-wife and I had been together for 6 years and were married in February of this year. I thought we were a fantastic couple. We did a lot of things together. I always endeavored to be a consistently interesting person. I took her on random dates to new places and peppered little romantic gestures every now and then. About 4 to 5 months ago, after becoming upset over the lack of friends in her life aside from me, she met a new group of friends through an online meetup group. I was super supportive of this, since one person alone shouldn't be your only source of happiness. Anyway, a month or so passes, and there seemed to be one guy in the group she began to spend more and more time with. Admittedly, I got a bit jealous, but I thought, what the hell, I trusted her completely and she's entitled to friends. I wasn't prepared to interfere in that. Weeks pass, and now she is going around to his house, which he shared with other housemates. She would apparently play board games with this guy and the other housemates, and would occasionally send me pictures of what she was up to there, which helped allay some of concerns. However, by this point, red flags were beginning to pop up all over the place and my gut was telling me something wasn't right. She would spend most evenings texting this guy on her phone. She'd take her phone into the shower with her. Also, on multiple nights she would say she was tired and that she was going to bed early, yet I'd go in to grab something from the bedroom a couple of hours later and see her still lay awake on her phone, probably talking to this guy. By this point I was feeling extremely uncomfortable with the situation. I thought the amount of time she was spending at this guy's house, particularly after spending a day out with him, was beyond inappropriate. So I decided to speak to her. I told her my concerns and that I didn't mind her being friends with this guy, but she needed to rein it in. She accused me of being jealous and needy. She told me that she enjoyed spending time with this guy and that they had a lot in common. Fast forward another week or so, she tells me she's going into town to find a present for her niece and leaves. My gut was telling me she was lying. Now, I knew where this guy lived, because I actually dropped him off after a night out one night, so I went to his house. My heart dropped into my stomach when I saw her car parked outside. I began hyperventilating and panicking. I felt drunk as I walked back to my car. On the drive home, I was crying uncontrollably. I was so out of it I almost had an accident after running a red light. When I got back, I tried to regain my composure. I paced for a while and started to calm down. Not long afterward, she called me. I asked her how her day was, and she said it was good, but she wasn't able to find a present for her niece. I wonder why. I told her to come home immediately. She asked why, and I said I needed to speak to her. When she came through the door, I asked her if she really had been into town to look for presents. She continued her pretense and lied again. I told her I knew where she'd been. Her expression turned from confusion to shock instantly. She sat down and explained to me that she'd just been around there for coffee and a chat. I asked her why she lied to me, and she said that she didn't want to compound my jealousy and insecurity. I'm still stunned that she said this. What could compound insecurity more than lying about your whereabouts and going to another man's house? She insisted that nothing at all happened, that she was considering my feelings and just wanted to be with her friend without me worrying what she was doing. Well, like the idiot I am, I believed her. By this point I was certain that I was being needlessly jealous and clingy. Little did I know that she was gaslighting me. Yet another week passes and I'm in work. She texts me to ask if it's okay with me to go around to this guy's house again after she finishes work for a coffee. She finished work a few hours before me, so I thought fine, I won't be home anyway, and told her to go for it. Later that day, whilst I was sat in traffic on the way home from work, I get another text. This time she tells me she's stopping over at his for dinner. I became incensed. I blew up at her over text, telling her I didn't want her to come back tonight and for her to just stay there. I told her that by this point it was clearly an emotional affair at the very least. She asked me why I was doing this, and I told her that I'd been putting with this for 2 months now and that the whole situation was making me feel constantly nauseous and that something was seriously wrong, for my gut was screaming at me. She pleaded with me to let her come home so we could talk. I said no and didn't speak to her again until the following night. Like the idiot I am, I texted her saying I'd made a massive error of judgment and that she could come home. When she came back, She told me that I'd seriously damaged our relationship and that she doesn't know if she could trust me again. I wanted so hard to tell her that's exactly what she did by lying a week prior, but I bit my tongue, chalking it down to my jealousy issues arising again. I apologized for my actions and things slowly started to go back to normal, or so I thought. Around December 20th, she tells me that she was going to go to her sister's late on Christmas Eve to spend time there on Christmas Day with her and her niece and nephew. However, she wanted to spend a good couple of days with me first, and wanted us to spend the 23rd and 24th together, with that being our Christmas. I was upset that she wouldn't be here on Christmas Day, but I respected her wishes and went through with it. Those 2 days ended up being really nice. We cooked Christmas dinner together, made some snacks, watched Netflix, and snuggled. I enjoyed it so much. She was due to head off to her sister's at around 6 on Christmas Eve. I helped her pack a few things, but all of a sudden I had a realization about something. She told me her sister was due back home at around 5:30 because she was going shopping, but I also remembered that this guy finished work around 6. Immediately, my suspicion kicked into overdrive, but I tried to kick it back down. She wouldn't go to his house on Christmas Eve. She wouldn't be so callous as to leave me over Christmas, would she? I decided to once again ignore my gut and put it down to jealousy and insecurity. If I accused her of potentially doing such a thing, I could have jeopardized the relationship, so I sucked it up. Before she left, I surprised her with a few presents. They were all things I knew she'd love. She said she felt really guilty because she couldn't afford to get me anything this year. I said it was okay, and that I bought them her not because I expected something in return, but because I loved her and wanted her to have them. We kissed and she said goodbye. That was the last time I'll hopefully ever see her. A few hours after she left, I remembered I had to respond to an email, so I jumped on Gmail, only she had left herself logged in on the computer. What I found absolutely crushed me. For whatever reason, she had downloaded the WhatsApp chat between herself and the other guy onto her Gmail. I opened it and read through. This had been going on for almost 2 months. What started out as light flirting descended into sexting. She was saying how she loved being with him and cuddling on his sofa when they watched a film. She said how she would send him dirty pictures if it'd motivate him to get home sooner. She requested pictures of him, videos of him showing off and masturbating. He sent her dick pics and she'd sent him who knows how many nudes. This goes on for weeks. At the beginning of December, they apparently slept together. What's doubly gut-wrenching is the fact that, judging by the timestamps, she was saying how much she enjoyed it during a time I was sat in the living room with her. Towards the end of the messages, which ended around December 18th, they were both saying how they can't wait to be together. The guy even said she should steal my PC and VR headset before she goes because he wants to play it. Her response was, haha. At this point, I was suffering a massive emotional breakdown. In the midst of it all, I decided to check her location history through Google, and it confirmed my suspicions. She was at his house that very moment. She left me on Christmas Eve to be with this guy. To add yet more salt to the wound, I scrolled down her emails and found that she'd ordered a t-shirt for this guy as a Christmas present, despite telling me she couldn't afford to buy me anything. There was no doubt in my mind now that this relationship was finished. I called her to tell her I knew what was going on, but before I did, I asked her where she was, to see if she'd finally fess up. She told me that she couldn't deal with this mistrust anymore, and that she was at her sister's. She lied to me and convinced me I was the one in the wrong right up until the end. I told her about the conversations she'd been having with this guy, how she gaslighted me and caused a massive emotional breakdown. Despite seeing me in such a state, she continued to lie to me and offered me no support. The woman I'd supported for 7 years through some dark times offered me nothing in return at a time I'd needed her the most. As I was saying all this, she remained mostly silent, with only an occasional I know coming through. I ended the call telling her I never wanted to see her again. I also discovered through her WhatsApp exchange that she'd told her sister what was going on, and her sister said nothing to me. She remained complicit in the whole thing. I just can't believe it. What a disgraceful family. Yesterday, I packed all of her shit into bags and simply left it in the garden for her to collect whenever she wants. I haven't damaged any of her property, though it took a Herculean effort not to. I am better than that. Right now I'm in a very dark place. I cry seemingly at random with just minor triggers. I've been having what I think are panic attacks. My heart beats really fast when I lie in bed. I feel constantly sick. I even woke up twice a couple of nights ago panic-stricken and in a state of confusion that she was in the house and looking for me. I am utterly devastated and broken. I am hoping to move on from this, but I'm scared it will taint all future relationships, and that this betrayal will haunt me for the rest of my life. She's ruined me. Wow, this is a long post, I apologize. Update. So, it's been 4 days now since D-Day. I haven't been feeling particularly well since that day, and the pain is still very fresh. I have been crying on and off the entire time. Last night was pretty bad. I just lay in bed and sobbed for 10 straight minutes. I am truly at my lowest point right now. She has texted multiple times since Sunday. She told me she had been feeling confused for months, that all the feelings she had for me were very real and that none of what she had done has been logical. She then says that she doesn't expect to be taken back, but she would like to mend our friendship. Finally, she tells me that she doesn't want our marriage to end over text, as if it didn't end the moment she cheated, and that I need to speak to her face to face, to scream and shout at her if that's what is necessary, and to give me closure. All of this made me very angry. I can't believe she wants me to consider mending our friendship, as if there's any value in having her as a friend after what she's done. Not only that, but she wants me to meet her and speak with her? Does she expect a heart-to-heart where she can try and justify the months of emotional abuse she put me through? She is delusional. I haven't responded to these texts, and I don't plan to. One thing I am worried about, though, is her suddenly turning up to the house trying to apologize or threatening to do something if I don't communicate with her. I couldn't handle that. She has tortured me enough. So yeah, that's been the last few days. It's been very, very bad, but I have a friend coming over tomorrow night, so I have a good distraction for the New Year's weekend at least. Thanks again for all of your encouraging comments on my last post, everyone. Let's hope 2018 is more positive for us all. Update 2. It's been just over a month since D-Day, and I thought I'd check in and let you know how things are going. The first 2 weeks of January were quite possibly the worst of my entire life. I sunk to absolute rock bottom. I cried multiple times every single day. I stopped eating and lost weight to the point that people were asking me if I was unwell, and I even contemplated suicide. I will admit to holding a knife to my wrists and being on the precipice of doing something really, really bad during one terrible night. They were extremely dark days. Now we're over a month in, things have improved. I still cry, but not as often. My appetite is slowly coming back and I don't feel as despondent. I do still get a rush of intense and upsetting feelings every other day or so, as well as thoughts that I'll never find anyone else, but I'm not as consumed by them. As far as no contact goes, I've managed to maintain it, though it's been an unbelievably difficult task. I blocked her number, but she got through to me via a few other means, such as through one of my old email address. She did send me quite a long letter via email in early January, saying she deeply regretted what she did, and that she knows I want her to suffer and that she will for the rest of her life. She also went on to say that I was the only one who made her feel truly attractive, and then pleaded with me to acknowledge that I knew her feelings for me were always real. In short, it was all the usual stuff you'd expect to see from a cheater and a narcissist. I'm still firm in my decision not to give her any opportunity for reconciliation. I have nothing to gain from it, and she will just want to feel more at ease in the face of her actions. The novelty of the affair is probably beginning to wear off now, too, and the guilt will soon eat her alive, if it isn't doing already. My recovery process has been fairly spotty, but I'm just trying to take things one day at a time. Work does well to keep me occupied throughout the week and give me a purpose, and in the evenings I really enjoy cooking. It's hard to feel sad when the kitchen smells so amazing. I've also done some light socializing, though money is quite tight at the moment, so I can't do as much as I'd like, unfortunately. Finally, I've been spending a ton of time with my dog. I'm so thankful for the comfort she's provided me over the last month. In the end, I think the most important things on my road to recovery have been allowing all of my grief to process, learning to accept the situation I'm in and beginning to enjoy my own company. It's undoubtedly been a tough time, and I imagine it will be for a while yet, but I feel as though I have both of my hands on the ledge now instead of just one. Thanks for reading, and I really hope you're all doing okay out there. Update 3. So, here I stand, 5 weeks removed from D-Day. At the moment, I'm still a bit scattered, emotionally at least. Sometimes I'll go for hours and hours, sometimes almost a whole day without thinking about her and what she did. Other times, however, I'll see or do something that will suddenly and inadvertently trigger a powerful memory of the relationship. For example, a few days ago I was doing some tidying up around the house when I found a keepsake she had bought me many years ago, entitled, "To the Man I Love." Moments like that can sometimes bring my whole day crashing down. Throughout this ordeal, I've been coping mostly by keeping myself as busy and distracted as possible. I'll cook from scratch, binge watch TV shows, go for lengthy walks with my dog, write, play video games, etc. The hardest time tends to come when I'm in bed at night and alone with my thoughts. My mind often wanders back to that evening on Christmas Eve when I discovered she was cheating. I can sometimes become trapped in a mental loop, replaying the events over and over in my head. If my thoughts continue to drift, I invariably end up thinking about her and the other guy having sex, which quickly makes me feel physically sick and at one point brought me to the cusp of a panic attack. Again, though, these thoughts are becoming less and less intrusive as time goes on. Maintaining no contact is absolutely crucial for me at this stage, as tough as it's been not to communicate with her for over a month, and counting. The clarity it's brought me has made it more than worthwhile. It has allowed the fog to clear and for me to see the situation for what it is. I am emerging from the other side of this with my self-respect, my dignity, and my values and strength of character intact. I always told my ex-wife that infidelity was an immediate deal-breaker in a relationship, and that I would promptly remove anyone from my life if they were to betray me in such a way. Perhaps she thought she could use my love of her against me to reconcile, to get a second chance or to at the very least remain friends, but the situation following her affair has unfolded in exactly the way I always said it would. She made a conscious decision to betray me, and I stuck to my guns and ended the relationship instantly. My actions have earned me a ton of respect from friends and colleagues alike. They commend my strength and unwavering commitment to upholding my values. As a result, I can look myself in the mirror and truly admire the man staring back at me. A lot of people struggle with serious self-esteem and confidence issues in these circumstances, and whilst both have been damaged for me to an extent, I still hold a lot of value in myself. It helps to reiterate to myself daily that I am the prize, and that she will look for me in every man she is with in the future, but she will never find me, because I'm not replaceable. Through her selfishness she has lost a good man. I was always and always would have been loyal to her, because I loved her and respected her immensely. Unfortunately, until she confronts her own deep-rooted issues, she is destined to repeat this behavior time and again and will always live with the belief that someone else is responsible for her happiness. In the end, her actions may have knocked me down, but I'll get back up again, only this time I'll be even stronger. And remember, always love and look after yourself. After all, you're the most valuable person you know. Finally, thank you to everyone who has followed my story and offered support throughout this journey. This sub has been invaluable.